Hey, so I normally don't make videos. Honestly, this is the first one I'm recording of myself. I like to be more in the moment, and I've always felt like taking pictures and videos, even having like my cell phone on, is distracting. It's disrespectful to the body, to the spirit, to the spirits, ancestors. I think you kind of get the point. That being said, I've been getting the guidance to start sharing my stories. I think it's very important that we share our stories of authenticity. Obviously being one of the higher vibrations, to be in is our authentic self, right? To know thyself, that's a whole nother tangent. Story to go down is, who are you? Who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? All these questions that come up. And coming back to that center point, that balance, the cross, right? And I'm not talking about religion, I'm just talking about the hoop, the sacred hoop, right? You see this in indigenous First Peoples. That center point, that balance, I like to think of it, as being in the heart, right? In the high heart. Anyways, authenticity, in what I've seen recently over the years, has been becoming more of a more prevalent, and it's especially recently, right now, the people that have platforms that do podcasts or anything that gets out there, the ones that I personally am attracted to are the authentic ones. Authenticity is such a sacred frequency to be in. It's such a sacred way of being. Authenticity is it's who we are. And you notice, or I notice, when you listen to someone who is authentic, it doesn't really matter what the topic is, the point of view, the perception, the perspective. It's just remembering and embodying that authenticity that is so refreshing. We're so used to and programmed and all the above for all these people that wear masks and costumes and all the bullshit, you know what I mean? It's just, I've been sick of it since I was born, I pretty much think, but it's just, I salute, I give a hug, from my heart of hearts to those who embody their authenticity. And I encourage you, as I do myself, to explore this, internally, externally, but give yourself the opportunity to be authentic. You are you, and you are beautiful. You are unique. You are special. You are powerful. You are you. That's what makes you you. So yeah, I love what's happening right now. I love the times that we're going through, the awakenings, people remembering, reconnecting, and there's all kinds of things, unconditional love, and other things. But right now, I'm just specifically talking about authenticity. And I'm very thankful for those that are embodying that. I encourage you to explore it, and it also ties into fear, and love, because you can't embody love unconditionally when you are in a state of fear. And people fear being their authentic selves. People even fear questioning who they are authentically, who they are. They, and I'm not, this is not pointing fingers or blaming. It's just how, especially in the States, the programming, the indoctrination, the schooling systems, all the above, that creates, this fear-based, or I should say these fear-based narratives, which is one of the biggest forms of implied or attempted control over a culture, population, nations, all of it. It's based off fear. But when you get over the fear and replace that with love and authenticity, we become more and more and more loving. We become more tribal, we become more unified, it strips the power away, or the perceived power, from the people, that the powers that were, the they, and quote unquote, who are they? Well, they are us, we are them. The simplest sayings, like, be the change you want to see in the world, do unto others as you would do to yourself. These very simple, you might want to say cliche sayings, are often the most truths objective, I suppose, but they're the most, they might be basic, but they're powerful, and when we create the change in ourselves, we literally create those changes around us, in our world, in our community, whatever that may be for each and every one of you, each and every one of us. So yeah, just something to think about. There is a place. Fear's not bad. If you need to, you jump in a lake and you didn't realize there was an alligator in there or something, right? Fear is a good emotion to have to, get out of the lake, or if you sense you're about to jump in that lake and but there might be an alligator in there, I guess that's more of an awareness. But so the point is fear is not bad. It's not something that you want to ignore or bypass, for these commonsensical things. However, it should not be your software that you're running, the program that you are in default mode on. It should be the exact opposite. If you really break down, if this is new to you, start with one fear you have, and just work on that, and dive into it. Sit with that emotion, with those feelings, and go through it layer by layer. It might be easy, it might be one layer, it might be and peeling the entire onion in multiple layers, right? I'll give you an example real quick. This might help. I had this irrational fear of spiders, right? And like a lot of people, tend to have sometimes. And when somewhere along my spiritual journey, my path, my remembrance, of knowing myself, which I'm still on and I'll always be on, always have been. But anyways, I'm like, let me start with this fear, right? This is ridiculous. Why am I afraid of a dang little spider? Where does this come from? Long story short, I started diving into that, asking the questions, meditating on it, asking, my inner self, my support team, my soul family, my guidance, animal guides and whatnot, whoever you go to, God, Mother, Gaia, Great Spirit. And anyways, as I dive in, I'm like, this came from my father. As a child, he was always afraid of spiders. He didn't like spiders, and so by default, I didn't like spiders, right? And so I went into this. I went into that. That's one that sticks out. I went into it, realizing this fear it's irrational. Where did this come from? I have no. Yeah, I love animals. I love all life. Two-legged, four-legged, winged ones, insects, the marine life, the finned, fish, everything. I love it all. And so that's fear. I went through it. I realized it just had come from my father, and it had nothing to do with me. And I can go way deeper into this, but long story short, I got through that fear. I leaned into it. That I didn't run from it. I leaned right into it. I dove into it, and got over it. So anyways, I mean, that's just one example. But then you go from there. You don't have to climb the mountain, your first try in one go. But start somewhere. Give yourself, just not too much. Then not more than you can handle. But give yourself, something that you could work on that is bite-sized, that you can do, that you want to deal with. The point is just to break the pattern recognition, right? This applies to, in my humble opinion, almost everything. Observe, be the observer, see the patterns, see the cycles, be honest with yourself. That's a big one. When you're doing this work, your inner work, being honest with yourself, authentic with your own self. Because if you're not, and you're gonna lie to yourself or try to make yourself feel better, or sit there and your mind wonders, what are other people gonna think in all these shenanigans, social media and all these other things, you're gonna have a much trickier time navigating these processes than when you're honest and authentic with yourself, you know? So, yeah, embody love. Love is the most powerful frequency, emotion, power, anywhere, any space, any time, any dimension, anywhere, everywhere. Love, unconditional love, is the strongest power you can have for good. Fear is the worst, in my opinion. It's the biggest form of control, and as we know, control is what has got us in this predicament we are in that we call life, Earth, Gaia, Terra, whatever you want to call it. So, kind of got off track here, but yeah. So, anyways, just embody love, embody authenticity, and work through your fears, deprogram yourself. Think of your computer, right, or your phone. You clean it out, right, with the antivirus, or you take off a program that slows it down, or whatnot. Go through and your body, and I'm not saying our bodies are computers, but go through and run your body scans, your antivirus, your own antivirus, and deprogram these fake, false, fear-based, inauthentic programs, that we've most of the time unconsciously had come into our realities. So yeah, anyways, these will get better. They'll get better, but you gotta start somewhere, right? So I love you guys. I love myself. We have to all love ourselves. But I love you guys. I wish you the absolute best, always, in all ways. Be authentic. That is where your power and your beauty and everything that aligns you with your highest and best timeline resides. We'll see you on the next one. All right, cheers.